Previously on Prison Architect. Generic greetings, generic greetings, generic greetings, generic greetings, generic greetings. 25 dead bodies. Generic greetings, generic greetings, generic greetings, generic greetings, generic greetings, generic greetings, generic greetings. What we need to do now. Holy shit, a Pringle? Generic greetings. Generic greetings. And now the conclusion. That isn't really a conclusion, because we skipped over the last part of Alpha 21 and completely missed the Alpha 22, which makes this more of a reboot than anything else. I mean, it wouldn't really technically class as a conclusion because it's a new series on a new Alpha, so you can't really conclude something that technically didn't exist. And generic greetings and welcome to Construction Plus Prison Architect Alpha 23 Episode 1. We are back on Prison Architect. Finally, one or two people might be saying, because people wanted to see this series back, and obviously I was always going to bring it back. I always mention that. I just wanted to take a break because after 180 videos and several other times where I played it when I wasn't actually recording, I got a little bit burnt out of the game, as you can imagine, but it's definitely value for money. I can't really knock that. I wonder how many hours I've actually played. 0 hours, 0 minutes and 17 seconds, according to the little day thing there. It's only for this prison, that thing there, but my Steam list says over 100 hours anyway. But yes, back on Prison Architect. So, as always, we're going to be building a prison. Alpha 22 brought in some fixes, which is good. I'm really glad they actually, you know, sort of paused bringing new stuff in to actually fix a lot of the bugs, because it was getting a little bit annoying. And Alpha 23, which is what we are running, technically we're running Alpha 23D, because there was a bit of a problem with the original 23, as in prisoners weren't fulfilling the needs and it was completely broken, so I'm glad that's been hotfixed. Anyway, yes, Alpha 23 brings in some new things, and I will be running through them things as we build this prison. So, this episode, as always, the first episode will be about the planning. There'll be no construction at all in this episode. I'll be planning it off, and then I'll be taking your feedback from the comments, as always, in Twitter and whatever, any which way you want to contact me. If you want to use a meteorite and smash that into my house with a little note attached, although make sure the note is made of Teflon or some sort of metal, because otherwise it would burn if it was paper, you understand, or maybe pigeon post or snail mail or whatever you would like to use to contact me, and I'll take that feedback and then put it into the prison if I can. So first thing we're going to do is shove a wall around the entire prison, and like I said, this is all planning, no building on this one, just planning it off. We've run with a small prison with continuous intake off, and as always, I'm just going to turn off our risk intake. I'm probably going to run just a normal risk prison for this one, because I genuinely have not played this game since the very last episode of Alpha 21. I just went, I need to take a break, I'm not even loading it. So the only other time I've loaded the game since, like, the last time you saw it was when I thought, oh, I'll give it a go now, and then realised that there was that major bug in the game that broke it, and I had to wait a couple of hours for it to be hotfixed. But genuinely, I haven't played since then, so if there's a lot of mistakes in this, then you know why. So anyway, we're going to find the centre of the entire thing, so it's easy to measure from the edge, because we know it's just, is it 40? I'll have to quickly check. All my measurements have been forgotten. Yeah, it's 80 from the edge, so we want it basically 40. There we go, and that's 40 there, so that should be the centre. Let's have a quick measurement here. That's 40 from there, and then that should be 40 as well from that bit there. It is 40, there we go, so that is the centre of the prison. There we go. I mean, we don't really need to know the centre, but whatever. So I'm going to be using that to build off. So, a couple of things that have been introduced with Alpha 23. First thing is contraband. Now, contraband originally, well, obviously contraband hasn't just been introduced with the with Alpha 23, you understand, but what's happened is that it now gets brought in slightly differently. It can still be, you know, it can still be stolen from the normal places, so the janitor closet, the workshop, all of that sort of thing, but it can also be smuggled in, as it was before, but smuggled in via the deliveries. So anything that gets delivered in, such as metal plates, eggs, cabbage, you know, laundry, anything like that that comes in the deliveries, can house contraband. Another way that it can be brought in is by being flung over the wall. Prisoners will have a little chat on the phone or talk to their sort of lawyer or parents or whoever in the in the visitation area and arrange for a package to be flung over the wall. They'll just wander around to the wall and then it'll be flung over and they'll get it. So you can easily avoid that by just building a building all the way around at least 10 blocks away from the edge. But I'm not going to do that because then that sort of defeats the point in showing it. I think it's a little bit interesting to actually make sure we definitely build in that sort of weakness into the prison so you can see it. Because if I really wanted to fix the problem, I would go on a medium map and then just build a secondary wall like that, and then have this bit here as just staff only. But we're not going to bother with that. I'm not going to go for a really outrageous prison because, as I said, I haven't really played for a while, so I think it's going to be best just for me to get back into the swing of things. We build a sort of standardized prison. Another thing that's been introduced are automatic gates, and the whole CCTV system has been revamped, and that's something that we're going to be taking advantage of in this alpha series. So first things first, let us work out where we want deliveries and garbage. Now, I'm going to put deliveries right at the front here. So we're going to say drag that. This is going to be like an open area. So I want it actually a little bit smaller than that. There we go. And we'll have it so it goes down, and that'll be 4. Yeah, it is 4. 4 to there, and then we're straight across. So there is our deliveries area there. Okay, garbage will be a little bit on the bottom here, right? So we're just going to literally do that, and then we'll cut that bit out, and that'll be the garbage. Okay, that's all we'll do for that bit. Actually, do I want to do that? Is that risky? That is very risky, because I want to put a road gate there. And then I want to put a fence all the way along to there, and then I want to put a road gate at the end, which is what I'm going to do. So they'll actually be road gates there, okay? So we'll do that. Now the thing is, one of the things that's been introduced, which is very, very good, are these door servos, them things there, door servos. And what they do is they allow you to put them on a door and then connect that up to a CCTV system or a door control that's sort of similar to a CCTV system in the way you have to man it and things like that. And it will automatically open and close the door. So we can do actually a fully automated prison, and I already expect people to have made fully automated prisons, i.e. there's no guards inside the action prison facility. In sort of, so I guess you would call it a prison in a prison, is what it would sort of be called, but we're not going to do that entirely on this series, because it's a little bit advanced for, let's say, me at the moment, because I have hardly played the thing. So anyway, let's just shove our deliveries in. I'm going to put deliveries there, then we need to put garbage over there as well. And do I want to have exports? One thing I don't really know if I'm going to do is actually workshop stuff. I think I will. I think I'm going to go with some... I think we are going to go with some exports. Let me just... Do I want to do that? Do I want to do that? Have exports in it? Could put exports in. Don't think we need garbage that big either. Maybe if we put exports like that. We'll have exports and garbage just because we might end up having some sort of, you know, industry in this thing. It's not going to be wood, a wood industry. It's actually a bit too big there. It's not going to be a wood industry. It's just going to be a probably sheet metal or something like that. But that'll be our exports and garbage. Right, so that's fine there. What we need to do is sort out some storage. So this is where we've got our deliveries. As I said, this is all planning here, so we'll rip that up there. This will be the centre walkway, so there's our little entrancey bit there. Now, actually, what I want to do something a bit different, and we'll drag it out actually a little bit larger than that. There we go. There we go. And we'll have a walkway either side. Actually, we're going to pull this down and then pull it out like that. What we're going to do, we're going to have this bit as where we're going to have like door control and such. Is that the same? 7, and that looks like 6 to me. Yep, so we'll make it a little bit longer up to there. So we're going to have CCTV and door control in both of these, and we'll have all of these doors, or most of the doors in the prison, automated, which is very risky because if it goes wrong, it means that they can smash things up. If the door control gets smashed up, then the doors go sort of haywire. Anyway, there's our deliveries and there's our exports and garbage sorted. We need a sort of staff room. What I'm going to do, I'm going to obviously copy this down like that. So this is going to be a central corridor. Then we're going to split it off both sides here. It's not going to be a symmetrical prison. I'm going to avoid that. So I want a bit that's sort of more for just staff. And I think I'm going to make this area around here that bit. So we'll have maybe a Staff room. Oh, we'll have offices here, actually. We could probably have offices here. Save and make that the warden's office there. And then we'll go with the 4x4. I'll actually make this wall instead of fence. Fences actually cost money these days. Which is something that a lot of people went, what? They cost money. Fence costs money? Since when? Since now. Right. There are the... don't really like the fact that they're not really... I'm not getting them as efficient as I can get them. That's actually a bit too small as well. I'm trying to make it so we're actually getting all of the buildings in that we can without sort of messing up the rooms. I'm just going to shrink that down by 1 a little bit. I said I'm not going to make it symmetrical. Let's end up being completely symmetrical already. Let's just keep going down. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Offices have to be 4x4 as a minimum. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that goes there. And we got a little bit of a room that does nothing. Not too sure what that could be. 1, 2, 3, 4 offices. We could make it 5 and do that. And just shrink down our exports and garbage, which I think I'm going to do because I don't think I need it that big anyway. So we're just going to go back to rooms and to storage, and there we go. If you are new to this series, which you know, that may be a possibility because a lot of people have you know, recently joined the channel. So hi, if you've recently joined, and if you've been here for, like, you know, forever, then hi again, hi. Obviously, the whole point in this, the whole point is that you can see the process, you can see it being evolved, you can see the whole thing getting built from start to finish with all of the mistakes and all of the problems that go with it. And I like that. I like that it's all out in the open. You can see how it's all working. Anyway, let's just get some sort of little open areas there. That's where we can get people walking. I want a walkway. Actually, we'll use pathways there. And we'll have a pathway that goes along like that and then along up here. In fact, no, that's making it a little bit too inefficient there. We'll do it like that. We don't need it any different. There we go. And then I'm actually going to bring a wall all the way down, and just to more of a guide than anything else. That's not a wall. That's a wall. There we go. I know what a wall is. It's completely different. Right. So there's that. Let's have a couple of. I think I'll have a wall around here, and that'll be our kennel. Okay. So we're gonna have a kennel there. And then we want a staff room, and we need a couple of other buildings as well. So let's have a quick look. What do we actually need? Let's go to our rooms. So we need canteen, kitchen, all that sort of stuff. I'm just skipping over that. We've got our offices. We don't have security technically. Although, actually, no, these ones are security rooms. These ones here, so we might have them as security. We don't have a morgue. We don't have common room. We don't have visitation, laundry, cleaning. Kennel, yep, we've got a kennel. We have a classroom. No, we don't have a classroom, but that could be a classroom. But no, this is staff only. This we're definitely going to keep this as staff only. We don't have an infirmary, but again, staff only. This thing. Kennel's over there. Armory. That could be the armory. Put it right at the back. Sort of makes sense keeping it right at the back there. I think that'll be the armory there, and this will be the staff room. I can't see the staff room in here. Office, security workshop, execution, shower yard, deliveries, garbage, common room, laundry. Hang on, am I going blind here? Has it been taken out? Cell, holding cell, solitary, canteen, kitchen, garbage, delivery, storage, yard, shower, execution, workshop, security, office, infirmary, cleaning cupboard, visitation, laundry, common room, morgue, kennel, armory, staff room. I am going bloody blind. I know that people were shouting at the screen, actually probably stabbing their screen at the staff room there. Ah, well. Alright, so that's going to be the staff room, that's going to be the kennel, and that is going to be our armory. So I'm going to split that off. So we're going to make it a little bit different because we want an entrance there, and then I want it like that. Okay? A bit of a sort of an airlock situation. So we're going to have an automated door there, automated door there. You can only get in if security says you can get in. And we could make it a bit risky, because if I have the entrance to this there, okay, and actually with the door control there, I can see that going horribly wrong, because it means if that gets unmanned, this door can never be opened and you can never get in to actually man the station that opens the door. That might be a bit of a problem, so we're not going to bother with that, but we are going to have this double metal door, so you can only get in that way. Right, so there we go. That's our sort of armory there. That is our staff room, which we'll just put an entrance to it right in the center there, and that's our kennel. There we go. So there's all that sorted. Right, and obviously this will be all staff only. There's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 officers. Delivery and garbage at the bottom there will only allow staff to take stuff there. Right, there's that sorted. Cool. So up the top here, we're going to do it. That's not going to be staff only. So this is going to be visitation and things like that. So I think we'll have it. First things first, we'll just make it go up like that. Obviously, I'm trying to cram things in as much as I can. If you've seen my other series, you know that that's something that, for good or ill, I do all the time. So we'll have a building that goes... Actually, maybe if this is the staff, if this is visitation, we make a big, long visitation room. Have the entrance to it there. And then when you come in, you can do the whole... Ah, yes, maybe if I follow the sort of... The way I used to do things like that, where we have a visitation table... there, and I used to be able to split it off like that, and it looked really good because you have visitation tables there. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. We're going to do that. So it's like that, basically, all the way along. And I think it's going to, I don't know if it's going to fit in properly or not, but who knows, we'll see. It doesn't fit in properly. Got a little bit, it's a little bit taller that side. Not really bothered. That's fine, I can handle that. Yes. Yes. Yes, that is fine. Yes. Yes, that is... Yes, okay, done. Yes, definitely. We might have to change that. Right, so that's done. Next thing is... do I want an infirmary? Do I want an infirmary around this part? I don't think I do, but I do want a classroom. So we can have a classroom... all the way along to about there. I think we'll split that in half. That's not nowhere near in half. That's about half. We'll have a classroom here. So this will all be our classroom to teach the prisoners manners or whatever they teach in the classroom. Finishing school or whatever. That's what it is. What else can we have? We could have a workshop, which I don't like the idea of. Not in this part. Infirmary would be a good idea. Common room, maybe, maybe not. Could just have it as yard, couldn't we? We could do that. I think infirmary. I think we're going to go with infirmary. I think we are going to go with infirmary. Make it a fairly big infirmary, but I might skip it and put an infirmary around the further back rather than around the front here. Infirmary at the front rather than the back would make more sense, because if you're injured you go straight to the infirmary there. Then, but you wouldn't really want injured prisoners and stuff coming through where these people are, where all of the sort of civilians-y type people are. I don't know what to do with this one. I could just make it one big yard, but again that defeats the point. No, I'm going to stick on with the classroom idea. That works. So we'll split it in half. This is going to be a classroom. This is going to be a... Don't know. Cannot decide. See, I could make it the power block. I could make it where we've got the power and do that. That makes a bit more sense, but then the problem with that is that it is in the sort of area where prisoners can go, and it's a bit risky, but I certainly don't want to put any of these buildings over there. Power. It's going to be the power room, okay? Just because I can't think of anything else to go there. So let's go to utilities. Oh, no. It's going to be utilities, but we're not going to go there. We're going to put our utilities in here. So we need a 5x5 for a power, another 5x5 for a power, and then a 3x3 for a water. Okay, maybe we can't have that. Let me move it further to the wall. So 5x5, then a 5x5, and then a 3 for a power. 3x3. For our, sorry, that's power, and that's water. I don't think I will need 2 power blocks. I don't think I will need 2 sets of capacitors and generators, but just for sake of having it safe, we'll have it like that. We'll also go to wall, and we will automate the door here again, so that'll actually be 2 doors there, okay? And they'll be fully automated via, like, from this place here. Obviously, there's going to be doors along here like that. These are going to be doors, that's going to be doors, doors there. You get the idea, right? Not going to place all the doors. Right, so that's a lot actually fitted in them 2 areas, so that's quite good. That's okay. What we need to do now is think about our cell blocks, I think, or maybe a holding cell. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it I'm gonna actually. I don't think I've ever done this, but I'm gonna make this open up. I'm gonna have that come out. Like, we'll have that as obviously doors there, and that's gonna come out to there. And we're gonna have. Oh, by the way, yes, we're gonna have metal detectors here. We're gonna have metal detectors down this corridor here. That's something I want to do. In fact, I like the idea of doing something like this. Don't know why. Like that. And then having metal detectors there, and then a dog walking around there. I don't know why, I really like the idea of it, so we're going to do it. So there's going to be metal detectors either side, then a dog's going to patrol around there. Then we'll have windows there, like windows there, as if they're like watching over, as if it is like an airlock to like sort of, I don't know, some high security building. Yeah, I think that will do us there. I was going to make this a metal detector as well, put a metal detector there, which I'm still going to do. Balls to it. Metal detectors everywhere. More metal detectors. I'm going to have to use that power generator just to power the feckin' metal detectors. Anyway, so there's that. Well, now what I'm going to do is shove a huge yard in this place. So let's make it maybe 15 from either side. Is that about right? Is that 15 from there? I can't see. Hang on. Cancel that. 15 from there. And 15 from there. There we go. Okay, so this gonna make a fairly large yard. Okay, so well, actually, we'll still have a pathway going through like that, right? But then on either side of this, we're going to put a yard. Okay, so that will be yard like that all the way along. Something like that, okay? So these two sections here will be yard, and we'll have all of the typical things you would have in the yard, such as, you know, weight benches and such. In fact, what we'll do is we'll wall it off, but it won't really be a wall. This will be fence, okay? This will probably all be fence, all of this bit here, right? And then we will have entrance there, and then entrance there. Yeah, you get the idea. And then we'll have them as automated, because we're going to try and automate the entire thing. And there we go. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll put my... No, I'm not going to put my objects there. You get the idea. I've already explained that. So, there is that bit there. Fairly big bits of yard. So now we need the kitchen and the canteen, which is going to be a little bit difficult to shove in this place. So, where's the best place I can put that? Now, I was thinking of putting cell blocks on the top and bottom, literally like this. Hang on, if I put a pathway that goes... Let's have a pathway that goes along like that, and along like that, and along like that, right? Like that. And then a pathway that goes right along like that, and like that. We know that our cell blocks are going to be that. Okay? Actually, no. No. See, if I do that, I'm defeating the whole point what I mentioned earlier about you having a little gap around the back there. So what I am going to make a weakness at the back there, a gap, right? Like, normally I put it right up to the wall or close to it, but I think we're going to do that, okay? And we'll make it a little bit shorter there, just to add weakness to the prison. This is actually sort of artificially adding a weakness to the prison. But I just want, it's interesting, it's fun, it's, demonstrating how it's working and things like that. And then what we'll do, we'll have guards that can patrol around here. I think I will have it as a gap of 2 all the way around like that, right? And obviously this thing around here will probably be a perimeter fence at some point, not from day one, because they are quite expensive, a perimeter wall. So there we go. And in fact, what I am going to do, I am actually going to use pathways to go all the way around, as in that you can walk around there, right? And obviously I'll put CCTV cameras around there, but this really is building in a weakness of the for the prison here, built completely a manufacturing one, right? So there's our 2 cell blocks. Do I design the cell blocks now? No, because I want to get on with a building that's going to go around here. This is going to be our kitchen and our canteen. So we're going to say about that size. There we go. Alright. Oh, do I want to do that? Yes, I do. I definitely want to do that. So let us put in a kitchen, which is going to be something like that. And then our canteen will be all the way around. So we'll have an entrance to it there, an entrance to it there. Hang on, there maybe? Nope. Hang on, there, that's the right size. Obviously we'll have a door there, and then we'll have our cookers and things in there. Now, how we're going to place this, if we have serving tables along there, how big is that? That's 15, that's exactly 3 serving tables. That is perfect. We'll have doors on either side so they can come out. Just standard staff doors on this one. This is going to be the only place that's just a little bit risky to sort of go around. In fact, I don't want that as a big door. I want it as a standard door, like a staff door that they can get in and out of. And then we want our tables and such. And let me just put the objects in. So there's our serving tables there. Then if we have a 3x4, something like that, then we'll have a bit of a gap there. Then we'll have 3x4. Again, it's getting a bit too out of hand here. 3x4. Cancel that. 3x4. That'll be bench table. Okay. And then we will do the same here. 3x4, 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 and then 3x4. Looks like we're not going to have a gap because that seems to work. And then we'll have another one of that. Yeah, I think that'll do. Then another one there. 3x4. We could put them the other way, actually. That's going to be better because we'll fit more in. Yeah, let's do it that way. There we go. 3x4, and hang on. Where have I messed up? Eight. 9. That's where I've messed up. Gonna have to shrink one of these down to fit it in. Like that. But then we can't get all the serving tables in. Huh. Okay. New plan. Gonna make this longer. Up to there. On both sides. Like that. Something like that. Entrance. Entrance. But actually, shrink it down. Right? Entrance. Like that. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. It needs to be a 5, like that. So we can put serving tables there. Then an entrance there. And then 5. And then 5. Like that. Okay, there's the entrances there. So they can fill these 7 tables up. And then here, we will have... We could have another 7 table, but I'm going to go with phone booths. Because phone booths in the canteen are really good. What I'm actually going to do as well is actually... Ooh, that's the wrong one. Objects is actually move them along just 1 block. Like that. Now, this is actually a smaller canteen than what I envisaged. So what I'm going to do... is put in some more like that. There we go. Alrighty. Walls, and done. Okay. So, slightly bigger. Should be alright, I think. I think that's about right. I might have got... I think I've got too many tables in there. Or rather, I haven't got enough serving tables. I can always change it. In fact, I could always just literally cut this bit out and put another serving table across there if I wanted to. That is something I could easily do. So we shall see what happens there. I haven't got any metal detectors in this thing, which is a bit risky, but we shall get back to that later. Right, so let's just have a quick rundown of what we have and what we don't have. So... rooms-wise, we do have cells. Well, we sort of know where the cells are going, but we just don't have cells. We don't have holding cells or solitary. Canteen, yes. Kitchen, yes. Shower, no. We don't have a shower at all. Yards, yes, we do have them. Storage, we don't have storage. Wow, I've totally forgot about storage. Wow, okay, so deliveries up here. We're going to have a storage, I think, so let's get on with that. This is why we run through the thing. As I said... This is why I run through it saying this is what we have and what we don't have. Also, as I said, the whole point in this sort of series and the reason why I do it like this is so you can see all of the mistakes, which there are many, as you can clearly see. So we're going to actually shrink down that a little bit, this area here. So that's actually not going to be big enough to have a full complement of sort of teaching and the school benches and such. So that's going to be a little bit smaller than what I originally wanted. So we might be able to... We're probably best moving this up, aren't we? So we'll cancel that. Then we'll move it up a little bit. Cancel that a bit and then move it to there. There we go. And then we'll put a wall in there, like that. Shrink this down. We don't really need that big a storage, but I do want some storage. There we go. Cancel that. And we'll put them in there, and then we'll put doors there, there, and there. Right, so this is still, it's a little bit small, but it's bigger than what it was. Right, so we've now got storage. Good, I'm glad we've ran through that. Storage, deliveries, yes, garbage, yes. Deliveries 2. What? Yeah, of course, because that's deliveries, of course. That needs to be exports. There we go. Right. Deliveries, yeah, we sorted that out. Garbage, yes. Execution, no, we're not having it. Workshop, still not convinced. Security, yes. Offices, yes. Infirmary, no. No, we don't. No. Morgue, no. Common room, no. Laundry, we don't have. Visitation, yes, we do. Cleaning cupboard, no. Kennels, yes. Armory, yes. Staff room, yes. Forestry, no, we're not having it. Classroom, yes. Exports, yes. So, we're getting there. We are getting there. So, let's just go back to our building mode, and we shall think about some of the buildings we have missed out. So, first things first, we will deal with the cell blocks over here because it ain't in. So how are we going to put in the cells on each individual room? So that'll be the cells basically, like that. Or can we do it a better way? There is a much better way of doing it, where you put it sort of opposite. No, we're going to stick with that. That functions, so we're going to do that. Okay, so it's going with the ITI sort of way of doing this, like that. Actually, we're not going to do that because that's where the entrance is going to be. There we go, and then we will just keep following the same design. So like that. Don't know how many prisoners this thing's going to hold. I haven't worked it out. What you are seeing is exactly how it is. So I have no idea how many we're going to have. Whether we're going to have, like, say, medium risk, low risk, or high risk. I think I'm sticking with medium. I think I'm going to stick with medium because, yeah, I haven't played it in a while. So it's just a bit risky if I go with something else. Right. That actually gets us to where I wanted to get. So that's fine. So we're going to do that. That's going to be a shower at one end, and then this side here is basically going to be, you understand that that's going to be a copy of that, right? Not going to do that either because you can understand that that's just going to be a copy as well. So we do have all of that put in there. I want a sort of security room in this entire in the place, but I also want a holding cell. So I might just cut out this back bit here, okay, and have it as a bit bigger like that, to make it a bit different. Then we're going to have an entrance there. Do you want it like that? Do you want it like that? Yes, I do. Entrance there to a holding cell. That's going to be a holding cell there, okay? Down the centre, can we actually fit reasonably some cells in? We can actually have some cells in the centre, which is what we're going to do then, because that makes us mighty. Right, yeah, so we're going to have cells all the way down. I don't know how far, so we should probably start doing it from... Oh, I definitely want a gap so they can walk around. So we'll start it there. Like that. Something like that, and 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 that fits in! Booyah! Cool, that's excellent. This bit is... Ooh, don't know what we're going to do with that. There's the entrance to the shower there. We'll have showers there, along there, something like that. Right, there's the cell blocks done. What have we missed out? Let's just quickly look back. Rooms. We now got holding cell. We got cells. We haven't got solitary yet. We should probably deal with that. Solitary. Let's shove that in then. Yeah, we can deal with that. That's pretty quick to do because it's going to be on the back end here. And we're going to have it like that. Don't know why I'm planning a fairly large solitary, but we'll stick with it. So that'll open up into solitary cells, which will be that. Actually, we could even make it a little bit smaller. If you misbehave in this prison, you're not going to get the the pleasure of space. You're not going to get the luxury of space. That just doesn't work. You're not going to get that at all. Cancel that. Can I put these in like that? So these solitary. A lot of solitary. I don't know why I'm planning so much solitary. And I'm going to cancel that bit there because that is going to be a door and a door, and we'll have this as like a little security room. In fact, I might even cancel that off a bit there and have a bigger security room. We'll have obviously doors there. That'll be full of CCTV all the way along there, and door controls. Cool! That works. Right, so that's our solitary sorted. We haven't got a common room. We haven't got an infirmary. We have not got a workshop. We're missing out a fair amount of stuff, aren't we? Okay, so workshop. Let's get on with that. So I can't remember what the... I think it's... Is it 20 by 12? Something like that is the ideal form. So I'm just going to go with 8 by whatever that is. Right, that's our workshop. Don't know what the size of that is. That's what it's going to be. Okay, deal with it. I might change it, obviously. Oh yes, I should also point out that we are going to have a metal. We'll have doors, obviously, there and there. Doors there, and we'll have a metal detector there. Right, on both sides, obviously. Right. So there's our workshop. We need an infirmary. We need a common room. We need laundry. Let's deal with that then. Let's have a bit of a planning. Let's be full on Maverick and let's make separate buildings. That is our laundry. There we go. And we need a common room, so we'll put it like that. Make a common room there. And then we will have a... What else are we missing? Infirmary, that's right. We'll put that here, I think. So we'll put a infirmary there. And a morgue tacked onto the outside there. With slabs going like that. Yep, I think that is about right. And then we're going to have a room here, which is going to be another security room. And then we're going to have whatever that is there. What have we finally... Have we missed out anything? Quickly got rooms off. Right, so let's quickly run down. Cell, yes. Holding cell, yes. Solitary, yes. Canteen, kitchen, yes. Showers, yes. A small one either side. Yard, 2 of. Storage, yes. Delivery and garbage, yes. Execution, no, we're not having it. Workshop, yes. Security, several of. Officers, all 5 put in. Infirmary and morgue, yes, yes. Common room, yeah, we've put that there. Laundry, we have there. Visitation, we have over there. Cleaning cupboard is... not in. That might be the cleaning cupboard then. So cleaning cupboard there, and then laundry there, maybe? Something like that. Kennel, yeah, and armory, yeah. Staff room over there. Forestry, no, we're not having it. Classroom is over there. Exports are in. So this is now done, technically. And walls, where we're going to increase that wall there. This is our laundry, and we're going to have it... It's actually, laundry is always best to have it longer rather than taller because of the way the laundry machines get put in. There we go. And then we'll have our maybe cleaning cupboard like that. There's a cleaning cupboard. And then this is our common room. But we are going to split the common room in half-ish. Because I want one area for where you can go to AA, because there's an Alcoholics Anonymous thing that can go there. Then this bit will be for just whatever. Just whatever we're going to put there. One thing I haven't done, I've put over here the foreman and also the psychiatrist. Now that's slightly problematic because it means that if they want to go and see a psychiatrist, they have to go through this area here. So I was thinking about moving them inside the actual areas. So in the infirmary we put the psychiatrist there, and in this workshop we put the foreman there. But I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that that's the way to go on this one. I will see. I think look, comments in the comments as always, and you know, see where do you want to go from that one. Anyway, we've got this area here. We've got our infirmary. Oh, hang on, let's have a quick look. So this is our laundry. I'm actually going to increase that just a little bit because I think it's big is better at that one. Same for the cleaning cupboard. There we go. This is our common room. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And then we're going to have an infirmary. No, we're going to have another security area there. Then we'll have an infirmary and a morgue. Like I say, a very, very small layer. In fact, I'm actually going to connect the 2 buildings up because I think maybe going through one to get the other might make sense. And obviously this is going to be paved and around there. Because this is like a sort of secondary access, then it's only going to need one, like, sort of... it's not going to need, like, a gap of 2 all the way around. Right! I think we're there. I think we are done. So, that's probably all of the rooms put in. Well, quick rundown. Cell and holding cell and solitary. Yeah, we got them in. Canteen, kitchen, shower, yard, storage over... yeah. Workshop, security officers. Infirmary and morgue, yes. Common room, yeah. Laundry's there. Our cleaning cupboard is there. Our kennel and armory's in, staff room, forestry, classroom, all of that sorted. Right, apart from forestry because it ain't in, but we can extend that way if we wanted to and put forestry in. So, there you go. That is the plan for this Alpha Series prison. As always, I'm going to be taking your feedback and changing things about because that's just how it works and it makes a better series. So, comments in the comments for changes, addendums, etc. This will going to be probably a couple of days and then we will get on with the actual construction. As always, thank you very much for watching and generic partings.